so as you've seen on the time lapse, we got it all sprayed out. It's still wet. It is, like I said, it's extra slow, so it's gonna dry. But I mean, that roof looks beautiful, man. I mean, that's primer, which to me, I know what it normally looks like. That looks beautiful. So see back there, you can kind of see the reflection in the sheen. It's more like a satin, like we went over in the other video. Primer doesn't dry glossy. But the door is beautiful. I mean, everything just turned out really good. So I did go ahead and flow coat this just a little bit, put a little over it just so we have something to block on top of, and then did the whole quarter. I mean, the quarter looks beautiful. I mean, if you refer back to the last video, you remember how bad this thing was hit inside. So all the body lines are back. You can see in the reflection of the shadows. Oh man, it's still strong. But yeah, looks good. All right, so Ed's throwing the door on right now. He's about to bolt it on, and he's already got all the interior put back together with all the headliners back in place. The seat belts all loaded into it. The modules are loaded into it. The windshield's still out. It gets put back in after paint. But that's done, so he's wrapping up the door this morning. He's gonna put the door on. You've seen in the other videos where the door was jammed out. Fender's already been jammed out on just the inside, so he's gonna stick the door on, stick the fender on. Hood will hopefully be here today or tomorrow, and then he'll get the bumper put back on and everything, and we'll move forward to blocking the rest of this car out and putting this thing into paint. All right, so now we are taking the car and we Scotch-Brite the whole car down. Run some wet sandpaper over any edges that might need to be knocked down. Make sure you get all around all your edges, everywhere that paint's gonna go. So basically when paint's coming out the gun, if there's gonna be paint there, then it needs to be Scotch-Brited and wet sanded. Alright, so we've got the Camaro in the booth taped up. Now, I missed a bunch of film on this car because if you've been following the channel, you can see I have, right now today is, let's see here, Wednesday, and I have got videos already uploaded and set to premiere all the way up till Friday. So I'm definitely ahead of the game on other projects. This one was a monster if you've been following it from the start. So I missed, Eddie did a bunch on this car and I missed a bunch of film on it. But we got it in the booth now. Everything's taped up. So I'm gonna do some decent time lapse on this one on spraying out the body of the car and all the steps. So what he's done is he's wiped it all down with a wax and grease remover, and that's got everything clean. We are now gonna take a tack rag and tack everything down to get any bit of the minor dust off of it. So everything's prepped, everything's ready to go. On your Camaros, most of the time you would blend. I blend all my jobs normally. So I have enough room right here to blend my color right here so we don't have to get into the fender. That way that color matches that color. So we're gonna stop our color, our base coat's gonna stop right here. So I'm gonna start my sealer. My sealer's gonna stop in here, and then my base coat's gonna stop in here of the color, and then my clear coat's going all the way, okay? That way them colors match. Back here, normally on most cars, you would actually blend your door to your quarter panel. So your base coat would actually go over all of this. Your base coat's your color, and then your new color would go into here, okay? And then this would all get cleared. Here's the thing with Camaros, and once I teach you this, it's probably gonna drive you crazy if you look around if you haven't already noticed. On this body style Camaro, none of the quarter panels ever match. When GM engineered this car and actually did this car, the angle of the quarter panel, the way the angle sits, and the way the sun reflects in the metallics off of that and the metallics off of that, they never look the same. Go start paying attention in the parking lot of your local Walmart or whatever. And the next, going down the road, next Camaro that you see, look at the quarter panel. It will always look like the quarter panel is a different color. So, being I know that piece of knowledge, it's completely pointless for me to blend that, because even if I blend it with new color, it won't look the same. Now, we did go and match the fender up this morning and get an exact color match on the fender. So my color should be, really, really good match, but we're still not going to blend this because of that known issue. It's just going to be a waste of paint, and you never want to put paint on a panel that doesn't need it, because right now all we have to do is worry about the factory paint felling on us. If we put my paint on there, then we have to worry about my paint felling on us. So now we have two possible felling points versus just leaving it alone and just having factory paint on it, so we don't have to worry about nothing else. Deck lid's getting painted because of them stupid little dents right there and two little hell-sized dents right here, sadly. So our base coat, our sealer, will go out in here somewhere, wherever I sling it to. I'll probably actually end up, just keeping it like this, and then my base coat will actually probably go to half of the trunk lid, because I'm just going to go ahead and roll base all the way into the quarter on this. So that half of the deck lid will not get any base coat, which is color. So no color on this half, pretty much, somewhere in here. And then that way this color matches this color when your eyes are looking at it, and then it will slowly fade into the new base coat here. Base coat will run around to here. It'll all get sprayed out with the new color. We're not doing a rear bumper. Again, if you start paying attention to cars around you, you'll realize that most bumpers never match quarters due to the metal parts are painted in one plant when the cars are built, and then the plastic bumpers and everything are painted in a whole separate plant. So normally the colors on your bumper versus your body never match. So therefore, we don't have to worry about it being a touch off, even though this should be an amazing match. So we're not painting that. That should look amazing, but if it is a touch off, it was a touch off from the factory anyway. So we're rolling up here. Our base coat will actually our sealer will stop somewhere about right here, and our base coat will probably stop somewhere in here. No, actually, hold on. Let me eat them words. So all of this will get base coat. All of this will get base coat because our roof is getting base coat. There's no paint here to match to, so all of this will get base coat. Roof and this whole pillar, everything will get base coat. All of this will get base coat because all of that gets new color. So everything on this side of this car, basically all of this gets brand new color. Front bumper we're not painting, but again, I should have a beautiful match. The hood we are painting at a separate time, so to try to cut down on some trash and running so much in one booth load, I'm going to do the hood completely separate at a later time. Fender's not getting painted. We already went over door, and this roof's getting painted, but this pillar's not getting painted because the quarter is not getting painted. So there's no body line to break it. But being you have a piece of black molding that goes here, your eyes will never see any color difference anyway that is in there, even though in this situation there's probably not going to be no color difference because I took the time to get really good match the best as possible. So let's get this thing rocking and rolling. This is probably just going to be a bunch of time lapse to roll through the paint, but I wanted to spend a few more minutes on this video actually showing y'all and going over how the process of paint is. What we're going to probably do is at least 2 coats of sealer, if not 3 or 4, especially with that being black. And then base coat will probably get at least 2 coats of base coat of the color, and then clear coat will get a minimum of 3 coats of clear. I mean, it's a customer job. A flip car or a dealer car would normally get 2 coats of clear, but this one, 3 coats because it's a customer job. That way, if anything needs to be wet sanded and buffed, I got some actual buildup of layers on there to actually buff on top of. So let's get this thing rocking and rolling. Alright, so you can see we got the big boy out for the clear coat. Normally in all the other videos that you've seen, you're familiar with the mixing cups that we use. Most of the stuff, but when we're actually spraying a big job, we actually mix it in a mixing cup. This thing is as big as like a tea pitcher that would be in your refrigerator. So it's pretty big, but it's the same principles. You have your 4 to 1 to 1 column. That's the one we're looking for. You have all these different ratios, but all we did was go 4 to 1 to 1. So we went our 3 with clear coat, 3 with hardener, 3 with reducer, and then 4 caps of accelerators. What I used in this to make this stuff kick off. So let's get this mixed up, put it in a gun, and then we're gonna pound down 3 coats of clear. All right, so there she is. We got her sprayed all out, got the door done, got the roof done, trunk lid, whole car. We don't need to talk about every panel, do we? So I think it looks good. You know, nothing I'm not really unhappy with. I mean, it's for what we were working with, man, this thing was destroyed. If y'all haven't seen it, go check out the first video, because this thing was definitely a nightmare. It was one of the hardest ones of the year, I think, or not hardest, biggest, I guess you can say. I think I'd have to think back. I'm pretty sure this is the biggest one that we've done all year. So, but it turned out look good. If you check the roof out and all that, I mean, she looks really straight. You know, the center still has waviness. We discussed that in another video. How it's best just not to mess with that. But overall, if you look at the reflection, that looks really good for not putting a roof skin on it. Trunk lid came out good. That quarter panel came out good. No complaints on none of that. So got all of our body lines back. No complaints, man. I'm happy with this one. So Eddie will get this thing, hopefully start putting it back together tomorrow. And then we will move on to, we're still waiting on the hood. Still waiting on the freaking hood. As soon as the hood comes in, we'll be painting the bottom side of it, flip it, next day paint the top side, and then it will go back on the car probably next week, because we are on Wednesday afternoon right now. So there you go. But, oh, there's a perfect example right there. Okay, so look at the colors. See what I'm talking about? And if you look at the top, of course we know that tops are different than sides. But look at that. Don't it look like this door was painted a whole different color than that quarter panel? That's why we don't have to worry about a match on the other side. Even face on, like right here, you can tell it kind of looks like it's different. So back here at this angle, kind of looks like it's different. Even though you watched me in the camera roll my base coat over all of this, same exact color, same exact clear. It's the angle of the quarter panel. That's what messes it up. Look at that. That is perfect example. Man, I'm glad I caught that to show y'all. So there she is. Look at that, son. And they do look good. CJ out here whipping out some food. What, Mike?
I'm about to get off like a mammal.
Look at the food. What's your first impressions?
I'm hungry, man.
All right, so Eddie's got the car starting to be put back together this morning. Got the front bumper put back on it and put the emblems back on it. So we went over this in the Frontier video, how you lay out your emblems when you go to put it back on. So if you did not watch that video, make sure you go watch it and you'll learn how to put emblems back on the correct way so that they're not all jacked up and looking funky. So she's looking good. Ed's getting it all back together, and then we'll have to get it wiped down and get the hood painted and put on. We also did forget the mirror on this passenger side and the door handle, so we're going to run that when we run the hood. So we'll run the handle and the mirror with the hood. So besides that, it's starting to finally look like we're drawing near the end of this thing, and you can see how dusty the front is. It's got dust all over it, so definitely got to get all that cleaned up. But we'll wash the car when we're done. Windshield's got to go back in it and get it cleaned up before it goes back to the customer. Camaro. So we got the wheels off of it this morning. Just ran them through paint. Ed's gonna do a final wipe down. We're trying to get this thing back to the customer before Christmas. He's going through cleaning up all the interior, everything that we made a mess, our mess, and get it back clean. You know, all of this in and out, just the light dust, everything from loading all the airbags in. He's got to put the door handle back in that side, and then we'll get the wheels on it tomorrow morning. Besides that, everything is pretty much together. As you can see, we just sprayed the wheels, so the owner actually is wanting the wheels done while it was here. So we went ahead and shot the wheels out in black. If you haven't seen how we do a set of wheels, make sure you go look at our other video on how we paint wheels. Normally, if you paid us just to spray a set of wheels, it would be $200, but this is all added into the invoice, so it's $200 stacked onto the invoice. We got the hood sprayed out, so we're gonna get that on tomorrow morning. Saying time lapse, we got all that hood done, and we got the mirror done. So making some traction on the Camaro, hoping to deliver it back to the customer for right before Christmas. So that's off of another customer job. It's a green job, so actually on this one, actually sprayed green, black, and silver all in the booth at the same time. And to touch on that real fast, what you do is spray your green first, so that the overspray goes over all this, because the booth is pulling it that way. Then you spray your black, that way any overspray falls over that, and then you spray your silver. That way, once you have a painted item, you're not overspray is not going over top of anything that's done. And then you run clear on everything the whole way. So that actually got 2 coats of clear, because that's a cheap job. This got 2 coats of clear because that's just what wheels get normally. And then that got 3 coats of clear. So there was never any clear pulling over or any base coat pulling over top of another finished item. So you have to set your booth up accordingly when you're going to run multiple jobs like that. Finishing up the final touches on this, Eddie just put the seat in for the customer. They went and picked it up about 2 hours up the road roughly, instead of us picking it up and charging them for drive time. So Eddie's about to get in there with a scanner and just clear out the code. Alright, so there it is outside, all finally done. That was just about the biggest project of the year for a customer, as far as probably the most work. And we've had bigger paint jobs. We did a red, a Honda today, or this year, if you were following the Facebook page, that we did a full all-over cut and buff. This was not an all-over. As you've seen in all the videos, we did just do certain panels because everything wasn't damaged. You know, the bumpers didn't get painted. This whole side of the car got painted. We did go over in the video the issue with all of these Camaros on the angle of the quarter panel and how it makes the paint look like it's not the same. Even though if you go back and view these videos, you can see that we painted this whole side of this car. So it's the exact same color, exact same paint, sprayed at the exact same time, yet it looks like 2 different colors because it's an optical illusion. When GM built these cars, they engineered the quarter panel wrong, the angle of it, like it just wasn't, nobody called it. And so now what owners of these cars are stuck with is their quarters looking different than their doors always, and it always looks like the cars were wrecked whenever they always weren't, because as you can tell with this one, the whole side of it was painted. It turned out pretty good. I think the customer's gonna be happy. They actually just dropped the seat off for us. He threw that in, cleared the airbag light out on our scanner because we did send off the modules to have them reset. We did seat belts in this thing. We did roof airbags. All the side curtain bags were blowed out. We did a ton to this car, put another hood on the car. When I wrote this estimate, I actually wrote it to repair the hood that was on this car. If you go back and look at the first videos, you can see how bad the hood was. And what I was able to actually do for the same price for the customer is actually get them an OEM hood that's made out of aluminum versus steel. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share it, and we'll keep sharing all of our projects. But I think this one turned out good.